Hi everyone, welcome back to Embrace the New. This is Candace and this is video 2 of Freedom Fridays. The first video we talked about the importance of embracing freedom, but today I want to talk a little bit about 5 reasons why you are not experiencing freedom. The first reason why you are not experiencing freedom the way you should is because you possibly have a misunderstanding of what freedom really looks like. You have seen the misuse of it, you have seen the abuse of it, and so what tends to happen in people's minds, a good thing can become bad when all you see are the bad use of it, the misuse of it. And so that's all you can see. So when you hear the word, you cringe. When you think of the word, it's like, no, I want to stay away from that thing because of this or because of that. There is much more to freedom than the misuse that you have seen. We're going to talk about the misuse of freedom, and we're going to talk the correct usage of freedom in the future. So stay tuned to that, okay? The second reason why you are having troubles experiencing freedom is because you are not aware of what it looks like. So you've seen the abuse of it, you've seen the misuse, now you just need some clarity. You just need to be informed. You just need to know, you need to study this thing out. You need to see it walked out in a person. You want to know what this looks like. You are afraid of the unknown, and you'd rather know what something is like than to say, you know,
you need to be released from this bondage, or you are bound. You are not living in freedom, so you need to not live under that. You do not need to live in bondage like that.
However, you don't know what else it looks like. All you know is bondage. So how are you going to know what freedom looks like? So, and that's totally understandable, and that's why so many people are struggling. That's why so many people are struggling with experiencing freedom the way they should, because all they know is what's in this box. You know, all they can see what meets the eye, but they don't know what goes beyond that. They don't know how to experience, allow themselves to experience something beyond what they have been experiencing in life, beyond bondage, beyond being controlled. And so, you know, that's the second reason why you may not be experiencing freedom. The third reason why you are not experiencing freedom is because maybe you know what freedom looks like. Maybe you've studied it out, you know what it really should look like, not the misuse of it and how people misuse that thing. You know what it looks like, however it makes you uncomfortable. And this is why you're not embracing freedom, because you are uncomfortable with what it feels like. You're not used to not being in control. You're not used to someone telling you, this is the way, walk ye in it, right? You are not used to having the freedom to trust in God in a matter and to kind of venture out in that thing, not knowing what's going to happen. And that's totally understandable, right? So you are afraid of the unknown. You know what it is, but it makes you uncomfortable. But in order to grow, in order to move in the purpose that God has, as we talked about in the previous video, we talked about when you embrace freedom, you are able to grow. You are able to meet new goals in your life. You are able to move in your purpose, and you are able to learn how to trust more in God. So whenever you move outside of your comfort zone, okay? Whenever you're willing to step out into the unknown, remember, it helps you to practice that faith in God, that trust in God, that, God has my back no matter what, okay? So it's okay to feel uncomfortable. Matter of fact, the more you get used to feeling uncomfortable, the more comfortable it's going to get, right? You got to start somewhere. And it doesn't mean that you will completely get comfortable with that thing. However, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's what it is. And you know what I want to say to that? I wouldn't even almost say get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that I don't think that really works. But you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. Let's put it like that. Yeah. You got to be willing to be uncomfortable. The fourth reason why you are not experiencing freedom the way you should is because you are used to pleasing other people. You are a people pleaser. You are always concerned about what other people think. And if you move in freedom, if you're trying to live out your purpose, if you're trying to grow as a person and level up, right, you are afraid of what people are going to think about you. They're going to think that you're fake. They're going to think that that's not you. They're going to think that you're not being yourself. when they don't know what yourself is. I know that sounded weird. They don't know what you are. You don't even know fully who you are. You are growing to be who God has called you to be. God only knows your potential, but you are unaware of that. And so you're afraid of what other people think. And you have to get to a point, and I had to learn this, the last month or two, God has been really working on me with this thing more than ever before. And I knew I had this problem, but he really pulled that thing out and is working that thing in my mind. He's been really disciplining me with this thing. Like, it does not matter what people think. You cannot satisfy everybody. If you satisfy one person, you have to dissatisfy another person. You have to displease somebody else. It doesn't work for you to satisfy every person in the room. Especially if they all disagree with each other, they see different things. You cannot please every single person. When you please somebody else, you gotta displease somebody else. Okay? So in order to please someone, you have to make someone else dissatisfied with you. That's just how it goes. So you gotta get comfortable with making some people uncomfortable. Not only you have to become willing to be uncomfortable, you also have to get okay with making other people uncomfortable and making other people and causing other people to be dissatisfied with you. It's okay. In order to please God, you got to dissatisfy people. That's just the way it goes. A part of life is making others dissatisfied with you. Not everybody knows your journey. Not everybody knows where you're going. They're not God. They can't be with you on every season of your life. They're not going to support you in every season of your life. They're not going to see your potential. You might know more about you than they do. So you got to So you have to disassociate yourself from their mindset, because you know where you're going. You know what you're called to do, at least to a degree. And then trust God, because God knows more. So when you are moving in freedom, you got to trust God about this thing. You got to want to please God and not people. And the fifth reason why you are not experiencing freedom is because you are afraid to fail. So just like I said, you got to get willing to be uncomfortable. You have to be okay with making people dissatisfied with you or displeased with you. It's the same thing. You have to embrace failure. Embrace failure. Like, come on, if you want to embrace freedom, you got to embrace failure. Embrace freedom, embrace failure. Freedom cannot come without failure. Failure is a part of the process. But many of us want to be so perfect. We want to feel and want everybody to know that you're just perfect and you never do anything wrong. Like, we all will make mistakes. You have to make a mistake. If you are human, you will make a mistake somewhere. You will. It's inevitable. So you have to embrace failure. In order to succeed in a thing, you have to fail at a thing. In order to grow in a thing, you have to be at a place, you have to be at a lower place. That's just what it is. That's just how life is. So it's so important because, and I had to, and I'm talking to you like this because I'm really preaching to myself. Like, in order for me to succeed, in order for me to grow, I had to be somewhere here. I had to be right here. In order to get here, you had to be here. Let's say, okay, somebody says, hey, I'm starting off right here. Okay, cool. But in order to grow, you had to be here before you get there, right? Wherever you are in life, you have to, there's always a step before the next step, okay? And then even in that process, you're going to fail somewhere in there. Because in order to grow, you have to fail. You are not growing if there is no failure in that thing. And let's just put it this way. Even if you want to say, okay, you don't have to fail to grow. Okay, cool. But how are you learning to grow? In order to grow, you have to learn new skills, you have to learn new things, and in that process, you're not the best at the process, so you have to be willing to fail in that thing. So the point I'm making here is you gotta get willing to get dirty. That's the bottom line. You're not gonna feel comfortable. You gotta be willing to become risky. You gotta be willing to look like a fool. That's the the point. You gotta be willing to look like that because you know where you're going. You know that you're trying to grow in that thing. So in order to experience freedom, the way you need to embrace looking crazy. Okay? Embrace it. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. You gotta feel okay with feeling crazy. It's okay. You don't know where you're going. You don't know the next step. Be willing to take the risks, because that's how you grow. When you are trusting in God, people are going to look at you like you're crazy. When people were trying to follow God in the Bible, they were looking at them like they were crazy. People looked at Jesus crazy. They didn't believe him. They didn't believe he was a Messiah, talking about I am the Messiah. Come on now. He was looking crazy, but he was submitted to God, right? He wasn't following the traditions of man and being controlled by men. He submitted, and he understood what he was working in and the culture he was working with. However, Jesus was freely submitted to God. He was moved by the Spirit of God. He wasn't moved by the spirit of man, but he was moved by God because he was sent, he was anointed to release people into freedom. He was anointed to move people into freedom. Look at Luke chapter 4:18. Jesus was talking about how he was called to preach liberty to the captives. He was called to release people from bondage and to help them experience freedom and restore their sight. In the process, he was teaching us and showing us not only the way of freedom and submission to God, but also to free others and to submit to God, right? Freedom is always in alignment with submission to God. If your freedom is not submitted to God, let me tell you, you're going to see that misuse of it. You're going to see that, and we're going to talk more about that, because there is definitely the misuse of it, and there's also the fear of it. Let me tell you, there are so many people that I know, as much as that are misusing it, it's the same thing of those who are afraid of using it. And so, that's deceptive. That's a deception of the enemy. If you are misusing it or you are afraid of it, that is not what God has called. He told you to walk in it. And that's what I'm here for. And I want you to embrace freedom, because this is what God has for you. And so right now, I want you to take a moment, whether it's after this video, during it, or in your own leisure time. I want you to look back and reflect. Get relaxed. Take deep breaths. And when you do that, I want you to reflect on what is keeping you bound. What is keeping you bound? And I want you to embrace freedom. I really do. This is the only way you're going to be able to move according to God's will for your life, is if you embrace freedom. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and embrace the new.